What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Harmon. Today I'm in Tukwila, Washington, and I'm here checking out a very interesting case. Some of you guys, or most of you guys, may have heard of the serial killer Joseph Edward Duncan III, the most famous or infamous case of Idaho, perhaps in the last 20 years or so. If you guys remember, Duncan murdered part of the Grown family. You guys may have seen a video about a girl named Shasta Grown who escaped Duncan, but her family was murdered. I'm here in Tukwila, Washington, and I'm here because Duncan murdered several young girls here in Washington state. Idaho was not the only state that he murdered people in. I'm here at the Rivercrest Cemetery, the final resting place of the two young girls who were murdered. So I'm gonna walk through the cemetery, tell you guys the story, and then show you guys their graves. So the day was July 6th, 1996. Two girls who were sisters. A couple articles mentioned them as half-sisters, but regardless, they were sisters. Their names were Sammy Jo White, who was 11, and her sister Carmen, who is 9. They were hanging out at a motel called Crest Motel. I believe they were living with their mom and an older brother. I'm not entirely sure if they were living at the hotel or motel full-time or just temporary, but regardless, they were staying at the motel off Aurora Avenue, also known as Highway 99, in greater North Seattle area. It was about 11 p.m. when both girls decided to go out. They were asked to go get some cigarettes and some food at the store for their older brother, and unfortunately the girls never returned home. And what transpired and what happened to those two young girls will haunt both Sammy Jo and Carmen's mom forever. Now, of course, when both girls went missing, investigators set up a task force in order to try to, of course, help solve the abduction of these girls. And unfortunately, it took nearly 2 years to finally solve what happened to both Sammy and Carmen. On February 10th, 1998, the remains of Sammy Jo and Carmen were found by a homeless man who was living in an abandoned barn near 195th Street in the North Creek area of Bothell, which is about a good almost hour plus northeast of where we are right now. The King County Medical Examiner's Office, of course, did an autopsy and determined that both girls were most likely murdered soon after their abduction. And it took all the way up until July 2nd, 2005, about 7 years after they were found, for police to finally find out who was responsible for the young girls' murders. Joseph Edward Duncan III was arrested in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, July 2nd, 2005, in a diner after he was seen with kidnapped victim Shasta Grown, who was age 8. Joseph was later charged with killing Shasta's mom, brother, and her mom's boyfriend back on May 16th, 2005. But more importantly, August 2005, when Joseph was in jail on the other murder and kidnapping charges, Joseph provided to the FBI some details about some other murders he committed, which of course turned out to be Sammy Jo and Carmen. Police were able to figure out that Joseph Duncan killed them with a crowbar. And according to police interviews with Joseph, this is a quote from one of the investigators. He told me that these two girls, he's referring to Sammy Jo and Carmen, these two girls were his first revenge. And he says, quote, "My revenge for going to jail the first time." And he references further by saying that he had sheer, unadulterated revenge. And I guess he just wanted to take out his revenge on these two innocent girls. Now, do I buy that reason for killing these girls? I don't know. I think it's just a bunch of lies, honestly. Joseph said in his journal 3 days after the murder of a young boy in California, he says, quote, "Now that I have fulfilled my greatest fantasy, I have no reason left to live except to flesh it out. I have no feelings for my victim, and I never will. But I do have feelings. I love life even more after my fight with a true monster. After being a first-hand witness to what others are enraged by merely imagining." And another quote in his journal, he says, "I just realized the pain is gone. The pain is gone. Now there's only fear. I like the fear better." So after all the murders and kidnappings that Joseph Duncan committed, he was finally given 11 consecutive sentences of life without parole. And even though he confessed to the murder and kidnapping of Sammy Jo and Carmen, he technically was not charged with their murder or kidnappings. Now, I'm not entirely sure if that was some sort of plea deal he got or what, as he did confess to the crimes. At some point, I would love to be able to get to Idaho and film the other crimes that Joseph Duncan committed, like the ones I mentioned of Shasta and the Groney family. All right, anyway guys, a very, very sad case. Terrible ending for these two young girls. Just unimaginable, just brutality, the way that they were killed. Just feel terrible what happened to them, but I'm just glad I could get here and film the graves and just share the story with you, to help them be remembered. As again, a lot of these victims of some of these crimes, you know, they're forgotten about, or at least their graves are forgotten about. And so I want to come here and pay my respects and tell the story. So if you're new around here and you appreciate these videos, just make sure you subscribe. That way you'll get notified of every new video I put out. But until next time, my name's Harmon, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See you guys soon.